Hello everyone, welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And it's part 2 of our look at an ancient grain for modern times. And we're talking about millet, of course.
Yes.
It is a very interesting grain. It's also maybe going to become much more common and much more popular around the world. Hopefully it becomes popular, because then it will become common. And that would be a good thing, because as the UN is reminding us this year, the year of millets, this is a very tough grain. You can grow it almost anywhere. It doesn't need a lot of water. It fights off a lot of pests. And they said very good in Asia and in Africa, where a lot of farmers don't have access to a lot of money or a lot of modern science, and finding water is a problem and will actually become more of a problem in the future. So if we can transition from things like rice or wheat, which take a lot of science and water and technology to grow successfully, and switch to things that are a little bit older, things like millet, that might be great. And also, we learned that not only is growing millet good for the earth and the farmers, but eating it is good.
Yeah, so we also learned that millet was very healthy for us. It's got a lot of fiber and minerals and vitamins, and it's good for your heart and keeps your cholesterol down. So it's got all these great things, and I think that's a huge reason why the UN was kind of like, hey, we should bring this back, because there are more and more people. It's harder and harder to feed everybody, and now we have this grain that used to be very, very popular in ancient times, and now we're looking at it again and saying, hey, I think we could grow this in a lot more places, and it's a good source of food to keep people healthy and full and all of that kind of great stuff. And you don't need very much. I think it said just 12% has enough of the protein that you, or 1 cup had 12% of the daily protein you would need for a day, and so that's not very much.
That sounds great. All of it sounds good. We have a whole other day to learn about the benefits of millet, but I'm already on board. As long as it doesn't taste like eating old newspaper, I will try to look for more millet and put it in my diet. Let's find out more though. It's going to be even better, I'm sure.
Though many people today are unaware of the crop, millet is one of the oldest grains eaten by humans. Evidence suggests that it was being cultivated as early as 4500 BC. It's likely that the ancient Chinese actually preferred millet to rice, and it's mentioned in the Bible as a common ingredient for making bread. It later fell out of favor in many parts of the world as it became associated with poverty.
All right, so let's begin part 2. We know that millet has been around for a long time. Farmers thousands of years ago were growing this stuff, but it's coming back, and I think the United Nations is encouraging people to learn more about it, since it is much easier on the environment and also very healthy. But I think part of their thing for making it the year of millets is really just to get the name out there, get people thinking about it. And I think, if they can get cooks making dishes with it, that might be a good way to introduce people to it, and then maybe we'll find more millet in the stores. But you gotta get the word out.
Yes, and so we read, though many people today are unaware of the crop, so we need to bring awareness to this, millet is one of the oldest grains eaten by humans. Evidence suggests that it was being cultivated as early as 4500 BC. It's very, very ancient. And so we have this word evidence. Evidence is a noun, and this is the proof that something is true. So especially when we are looking at things that happened a really long time ago, we need to look for evidence. And so if we're looking at evidence of food a long time ago, we might see might look at people like mummies, what's still in their guts maybe, or what's in their teeth, or what's in the jars
what they find in old pots,
yeah, and so all this kind of stuff, we can start to see what types of food they might eat, and that would be evidence that they ate that type of food. We also see it in our example sentence. There is strong evidence to support the theory that smoking causes lung cancer. So there's a lot of evidence, there's a lot of proof that smoking leads to lung cancer. I think most people already know that, but that's something that long ago people didn't know.
Absolutely. Evidence is something real and physical you can point to, study, test. If someone says, oh, I saw it, believe me, that's not exactly evidence. But if the police have a fingerprint, if they find the gun with the person's finger, that's evidence, not just a story or a person's opinion.
Yes.
Back to the article, it says it's likely that the ancient Chinese actually preferred millet to rice. And it's mentioned in the Bible as a common ingredient for making bread. So there you go, a little bit of evidence. We have written evidence from the Bible. It's mentioned in there, and they know that that was written around, 2,000 years ago or so. And of course, also maybe from what you were saying, finding a bit of it in pots and in old villages, and people were cooking with it back in ancient China. They actually found it was more common than rice. So maybe people liked it more or something like that. Very interesting. So what happened? Well, it later fell out of favor in many parts of the world as it became associated with poverty. Interesting. So as people got more money, they began to buy the fancier grains like wheat or barley or something like that. And millet became, sort of the poor person's food, and eventually it sort of fell out of style, fell out of favor, as people could afford nicer, softer grains like wheat and other things. And also in people's minds, in the culture, it was connected or associated with being poor. When we associate, or you could say associate, you could also say it that way. This is a verb, and it's basically to make a connection between two things. Maybe in your mind, maybe in the real world. Maybe there is a connection there, or maybe it's just what you think. Right? Often when we associate things with certain things, it's mainly because we don't know that much about it. We heard something, and in our minds, there is a connection there. I associate the smell of freshly baked cookies with my grandmother. Other mothers make cookies. I've smelled cookies in other places, but no matter where it is, it makes me think of my grandmother, because when I was young, she used to make them. There's an association, that's the noun, or I associate, I connect those things in my brain. And when I see the word break written, I associate that with taking a break. So let's take a break, because there's an association there.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Kenny。我们在第一天的课文读到，小米这种植物具有高度的耐受性，而且营养价值高。虽然很多人对这种作物不熟悉，但它却是人类食用历史最悠久的谷物之一。证据显示，它早在西元前4500年就已经在种植了。很可能古代的中国人反而比较喜欢小米胜于稻米。而且圣经里面呢，也有提到小米是制作面包的常用食材。那只是后来这种作物呢，因为跟贫穷有关，被联想在一起，那么在世界许多地方它就失宠了。好，单字 evidence 它表示证据，这时候它是不可数名词哦。那么 associate 或是念作 associate， 它表示使联系、使联想。文中是用 become associated with 名词去表达与什么有关。补充一下，它的名词是 association 或者是 association， 它表示联想、关联。好，这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看这个重点是 it's likely 加上 that 子句，可以表达什么什么是有可能的。likely 它当形容词是形容可能的，那么虚主词 it 在这里代替真正的主词 that 子句。我们这个用法其实还可以把它改写成主词加上 be likely to 加原形动词。举例来说 ，It is likely that Nelson will accept the job offer。那也可以说 Nelson is likely to accept the job offer。Nelson 有可能会接受这个工作机会。好，接回到课文中。
The plant is currently making a comeback thanks to its potential to provide a stable food supply amid the increasingly serious effects of climate change. In areas where land can no longer support more demanding crops, millet ensures that fields remain in production. Experts see the growing market for the grain as an important opportunity to protect the livelihoods of small-scale farmers. All in all, millet is proving to be a superfood for both people and our planet. So why not try switching out the rice or wheat in your next meal? Don't forget to toast the seeds before normal preparation to bring out the full flavor. If you haven't already, add millet to your diet and start enjoying its benefits.
Okay, welcome back. So we just had our break and now we are going to jump back into talking about millets. So again, we've been learning about how they're tough, they can survive a lot of things, they're nutritious. There's something that we grew a long time ago. And they're coming back to modern times, but they kind of fell out of favor because they started to be associated with poorer people. So maybe the farmers couldn't sell them for as much money or sell them at all. And so they kind of dropped off for a little bit, and now we're seeing if we can bring them back.
That's right. And of course, the funny thing is with fewer farmers growing it now, it might be an expensive person's grain, or a rich person's grain. It might be expensive, but there are other reasons people are trying to get it to come back and become more popular. It says, the plant is currently making a comeback or becoming popular again, thanks to its potential to provide a stable food supply amid the increasingly serious effects of climate change. There you go.
Yes.
We mentioned how tough it is, how you don't need a lot of water, it fights off pests. This makes it able to be grown in very many parts of the world, places where other things like rice or wheat would struggle. So there's a lot of potential here for millet. It doesn't mean millet has become the miracle, it's saving people, but it has the possibility to do that.
Yes, and so that is this word potential. Potential is a noun. The potential of something is the ability of that thing to become something else. So in this case, the millet has the potential to be this really great kind of climate-saving food source that helps everything, but it hasn't yet. It's still just the potential. It has the ability to. Obviously, the UN thinks that it could be very useful in the future and have this really strong potential, and that's why they're trying to bring more awareness to it. And as we see in our example sentence, it says, the new technology has the potential to greatly reduce air pollution. So again, this new technology has the ability to do it, but we haven't kind of seen the actual effects of it yet because it hasn't been put in place yet. Okay, so let's jump back into our article and we will read, in areas where land can no longer support more demanding crops, millet ensures that fields remain in production. Yes, so obviously growing crops is really hard on soil. That's why there's the crop rotation to try to let the soil kind of get more nutrients back in it so it can grow again. And so now we're finding that millet can survive in those situations where other crops might not be able to.
Exactly, and of course add in the way weather is changing and certain areas are getting less rain. That is another challenge. It's very demanding on certain types of crops, especially the ones we used to grow back when global warming wasn't such a problem. When something is demanding, it requires a lot, it asks a lot, it needs a lot. It's tough or it's difficult, it's not easy. Demanding work will require you to work a lot, be very concentrated, be very tired at the end of your day. But then at other times, life isn't so demanding. We can have holidays and relax. But if it's demanding, it's tough and things are not easy and they're very challenging. Here's Ralph. Ralph has a demanding job that requires long hours of physical work. Isn't he like wrecking the internet? Wreck-It Ralph?
Yep. That's pretty demanding, I would say.
That's demanding, yes.
So we have this word, we also had this word ensure, when saying that this could ensure like food stability and all of that kind of stuff in the future. Ensure just means to make sure, to make something sure. But this word is often mixed up with the word insure with an I. So make sure that you're paying attention. Insure with an E means to make something sure. With an I, it means more like insurance and that kind of stuff, but we won't get into that one. First, we just focus on ensure, to make something sure. So we look at this sentence, it says, the railway company takes measures to ensure the safety of its passengers. So the railway company is going to make sure that everything is safe and all of its customers and passengers are all safe. So they're ensuring safety.
Yeah.
Yes, and then if we look at our article again and we can read, experts see the growing market for the grain as an important opportunity to protect the livelihoods of small-scale farmers. So now this is another benefit to millet. We have small-scale farmers who can actually support themselves still with this grain.
That's a very good point. Most farms these days are owned by big corporations, and if you're a small family running your own farm, it is very hard to make money these days. But if we start to turn to other grains like millet, maybe that gives a chance for the little guy to fight against the big companies. So all in other words, as we look at it in total, we're near the end of the article here, millet is proving to be a superfood for both people and our planet. Yay! So why not try switching out the rice or wheat in your next meal? I am gonna look for millet in the store. But before that, I'm going to find some millet recipes.
Yes.
I don't want to bring it home and go, what do I do with this stuff? But I'm going to try.
Yes, and it says, don't forget to toast the seeds before normal preparation to bring out the full flavor.
Good thing.
Yes.
Good point.
If you haven't already, add millet to your diet and start enjoying its benefits.
There you go. My skin will be clean, my hair will be glossy, and I'll be in great shape, and I'll have super strong teeth because I'm crunching down on my millet 3 meals a day. What do you think, guys? Here's our question. Do you think more people should add millet to their diets? Why or why not? And if you say no, I bet you own a rice farm, but I'm not sure. But do you think it's a good thing to add to our diets? Yes or no?
Yes, I think absolutely.
Me too.
Anything that's better for the environment and is sustainable is great in my book. So I'm down to try it.
What she just said, I totally agree. Thanks, guys. We'll see you at the millet store. And we'll be back with some more great articles probably before then. But have some millet. It can't kill you.
刚刚说到小米因为跟贫穷有关，在许多地方失宠了。不过这种植物呢，目前正在卷土重来，因为它可能可以在气候变迁日益严重的影响下，来提供稳定的粮食供应。毕竟它的耐受性高，当这个土地没有办法再支持那些要求更高的作物时，小米还是能够确保这个田地可以持续生产。那么 Sam 老师他刚刚提到这个 crop rotation。Crop rotation 就可以表达农作物轮作，也就是在同一片的耕地上面呢，轮流种植不同的作物。看课文单字 potential， 它是名词，表示潜力或是可能性或是潜在性。那么 demanding 它是形容词，形容要求高的、苛求的，也可以表达费时耗力的。下一个单字 ensure， 它表示确保、保证。我们可以在后面直接接事物来当受词，或者是接 that 子句。那么 Sam 老师提醒我们不要把这个单字跟 insure 搞混咯。in 开头的这个 insure 它可以表达给什么保险、替什么投保，所以跟我们课文单字 insure 是不一样的哦。再来，老师也提到说，确保食物供应的稳定性时，它有用到 stability 这个字 ，stability 这个名词它表示稳定或者是安定。好，那课文接着写到说，专家们将这种谷物不断增长的市场呢，来视为保护小农生计的重要机会。那这边就用到一个重点，我们要进入文法时间。好，我们来看这个重点是 see 加上受词 as 加上名词或形容词，表示说把什么什么视为什么什么。那么句型当中的 see 就表示认为、视为，我们可以用 regard、view 或者是 think of 来代换。例如 his coworkers think of him as professional， 他的同事认为他很专业。好，那么延伸学习是这个句型呢，也常常用被动语态表示，这时候句型就会是主词加上 be seen as、be regarded as、be viewed as 或是 be thought of as， 再加名词或形容词。例如 This place is regarded as the best restaurant in the city。这个地方被认为是城市里最棒的餐厅。好，以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Though many people today are unaware of the crop, millet is one of the oldest grains eaten by humans. Evidence suggests that it was being cultivated as early as 4500 BC. It's likely that the ancient Chinese actually preferred millet to rice, and it's mentioned in the Bible as a common ingredient for making bread. It later fell out of favor in many parts of the world as it became associated with poverty. The plant is currently making a comeback thanks to its potential to provide a stable food supply amid the increasingly serious effects of climate change. In areas where land can no longer support more demanding crops, millet ensures that fields remain in production. Experts see the growing market for the grain as an important opportunity to protect the livelihoods of small-scale farmers. All in all, millet is proving to be a superfood for both people and our planet. So why not try switching out the rice or wheat in your next meal? Don't forget to toast the seeds before normal preparation to bring out the full flavor. If you haven't already, add millet to your diet and start enjoying its benefits.
Hi everyone, I'm Kiki.
I'm Josh.
I'm Winnie.
And I'm Jamie.
And today we're going to play a game called Undercover, where each of us has a card with a word on it. 3 of us has the same word and 1 of us has a different word, and that makes them the spy. So we have 2 rounds to each give a clue about the word, and at the end of 2 rounds, we are all going to guess who we think the spy is. All right, so are you guys ready?
Ready.
I think we should start with Jamie.
Oh,
Plot twist.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No,
how about you start?
No, go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, I don't like that. Okay, all right. So I would call something this based on its touch or feel, I guess. Maybe that's better.
Yeah, right.
Oh no. I think if 2 parents in a household have an income, it could be a very this type of home.
Man, I was walking on the footpath and I fell over. So the footpath wasn't this.
Okay, I think if you have a steady job, you will feel very this.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Hold on. Many uncomfortable things can be called this.
If someone was in an ambulance and maybe they were flatlining, but they got them back in shape, they become this.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I bought this waterbed and I just can't keep it this.
If I was stepping onto a suspension bridge, I would make sure I am this before I continue walking on it. Okay, so that's all our clues. Now let's try to guess who the spy is. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at what our words are. Mine is stable.
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 Firm.
Verb. Okay, so why did we think that Jamie was the spy?
Because her clues seemed very different from my own.
I think she kept on referencing like kinesthetic or like things that you do with your physical, like touch and things like that. And I would think that that wouldn't be fitting of stable. And so I knew that my answers were kind of like Josh and Kiki's. So I figured it's probably Jamie.
Yeah, that's what I realized too. I was like, oh no, I'm the spy. It was too obvious that I had something like physical, and then yours was like more.
Right.
Oh, we got you.
Yeah, not physical.
We got you.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.